everybody, this is Miss Maureen here. Welcome to our summer reading program. The theme is Tales, as in animal tales, and tales. The book I want to share with you today is a tall tale, and the title is Library Lil by Suzanne Williams and illustrated by Stephen Kellogg's. So here we go. I bet you think all librarians are mousy little old ladies, hair rolled up in a bun, beady eyes peering out at you over the tops of those funny half glasses, an index finger permanently attached to their lips going, shh. Bet you never heard of Library Lil. Lil wasn't always a librarian, of course. She was a kid first, just like most people. And here's her picture album. Lil in the bathtub, 1 year old. Lil with her little dog, her little kitty cat, secondhand Rose, 3 years old. Lil on the soccer field, 5 years old. And Lil building her first fort, 7 years old. She's very talented. And like most kids, Lil had a wild imagination. She loved to read, and she imagined herself the hero of every book she checked out of the library. By the time she was 8, she'd read all the books in the children's section. Now, boys and girls, you should have seen our children's section. That's quite an accomplishment, huh? Yes, Lil was a fast reader, and she had the most powerful, strong arms, too. When the 3rd grade soccer ball got stuck under the principal's car, Lil retrieved it. She's lifting the car. Her strength might have come from carrying all those books around. When Lil ran out of children's books, she started in the encyclopedia. She used to check out a whole set at once. She'd walk down the street reading the A volume, held open in one hand, while she balanced the remaining volumes on the palm of the other hand. So, it came as no surprise to anyone when Lil grew up and became a librarian, landing a job in the nearby town of Chesterville. The townspeople soon dubbed her Library Lil. Lil's specialty was storytelling, but when she advertised a story time in the local newspaper, no one showed up. And when she posted a list of fantastic new books she had ordered, no one came to check them out. It was clear that the people of Chesterville were not avid readers. Television was their favorite form of entertainment, and Lil did not approve of TV. Devil's invention, she called it, keeps folks away from good books. To Lil's way of thinking, TV was an evil that ranked right up there with poison ivy and mosquitoes. She knew she had her work cut out for her. One horrible stormy night, the wind blew down some power lines. The whole town of Chesterville was plunged into darkness. TVs popped off like light bulbs. This was the chance Lil had been waiting for. She fought her way through the driving rain to the town's ancient bookmobile, battling 80-mile-an-hour winds that threatened to carry her away like a feather in an updraft. Unfortunately, the old bookmobile had been sitting idle too long. The battery was deader than a picked herring. But did that stop Library Lil? No, sir. Up and down the streets of town she went, pushing the bookmobile ahead of her just like a baby carriage. There she is. By the end of the night, every man, woman, and child in Chesterville was reading a book by the flickering light of a candle. The power was out for 2 whole weeks, by which time the townspeople had solidly formed the habit of reading. Suddenly, the folks were borrowing more books than they had ever in the entire 50 years since the library had been built, and there was standing room only at Lil's story time. Not long after the storm, a motorcycle gang rode into town. The leader of the gang was Bust 'em Up Bill. He was a towering 6'7", and when he took off his jacket to play pool, he revealed a skull and crossbones tattoo that would scare the wool off of sheep. And if you look really, really, really close, there's that tattoo. Now, at first Lil took no more notice of Bill and his gang than a duck would of rain. She was only interested in readers, and they kept her plenty busy at the library since the storm. So while Bill and his gang hustled pool at the local tavern, Library Lil checked out books. It wasn't long, though, before Bust-em-Up Bill found out about Lil. You see, he was in the habit of watching professional wrestling on Tuesday nights. So when Tuesday night rolled around, Bill expected to watch his favorite program. "Where's the TV?" he demanded. "Don't have one, sir," said the bartender. "Nobody in town watches it anymore. Too many good books to read." "No one around here watches TV? What's the matter with you folks?" The bartender chuckled and said, "Bill's made us all readers." "Readers? Ha!" It was not a pleasant sound. He faced his gang. "Do you hear that? These folks are now reading books." The way he said books left no doubt that to him, this was a terrible word in the English language. "Who is Lil?" He spouted the words out like bullets. "Our librarian," squeaked the bartender. "Where is she?" growled Bill. "She'll be parking her bookmobile across from the library right in about 10 minutes, sir." Bill stomped toward the door. "Let's go," he grunted to his gang. While Lil arrived, she found the parking lot filled with motorcycles and surly bikers. "Move your bike," she called. "You're blocking my parking place." "Tough cookies, sister," said Bill. "It's your fault I'm missing my favorite TV show." "Listen," Lil said. "I don't want trouble. Just move the bikes." The gang stood their ground. "All right," she said. "If you don't move them, I guess I'll have to move them for you." "Do you hear that, boy?" said Bill. "She'll move them for us. Sister, if you can do that, why, I'll... And he looked at the bookmobile. "I'll read a book." It was the worst thing he could think of. Lil grinned. She flexed her skinny muscles, then she stooped down, reached under one of the motorcycles, and straightening up, she hoisted the motorcycle from one hand and tossed it into the street. Cost her little more effort than flinging an apple core. Bust him up, Bill and his gang watched with their jaws hanging down as Lil turned motorcycle and after motorcycle onto a stack reaching up towards the moon. When she cleared the parking lot, she drove the bookmobile in. Then she climbed down and headed toward the library's front door. "All right, boys," she called out. "I'm open for business." Bill's boys tried to sneak away, but Bill hauled them up by their collars. "Not so fast," he growled. "We're all getting books. If anyone tries to leave without one, he's going to be reminded why my nickname is Bust 'em Up Bill." It wasn't long before every man in Bill's gang was reading away. Of course, some of them hadn't learned too well in school, so Lil gave them some easier books to read to begin with. Several other guys got into a fight over who was going to be the first one to check out The Mouse and the Motorcycle, but fortunately, Lil found the extra copies and she was able to calm everybody down. Last time I was over in Chesterville, they added a new wing to the town library. Seems Lil's been busier than ever. She had to take on a library assistant to help her out. The new assistant is a very big fella. The townspeople call him Bookworm Bill. The kids think he's a whale of a storyteller, but then he learned from a master. And if you look really close, you might see a tattoo peeking out. Since Bill's been on the job, Lil says there hasn't been a single overdue book. I think she's kind of sweet on the guy. Says she's even taken to watching a little of The Devil's Invention, particularly Tuesday nights when wrestling is on. Think you know who Bill is? All right, everybody. That is the first story I'm reading for today. Bye. All right, everybody. This is the second book I wish to read for today to you. This is Chicken Little by Rebecca Emberley and Ed Emberley. And Chicken Little is a folk tale. So we have our, but the Emberleys did a very nice job on the artwork, bright and colorful. Chicken Little was not the brightest chicken in the coop. He was very excitable and prone to foolishness. One day he was doing nothing, his usual pastime, when an acorn fell from the sky and hit him on the head. Bunk! Eek! It knocked him senseless. "Oh my goodness! Oh my gracious!" he exclaimed. "The sky is falling! The sky is falling! I must run for my life!" He grabbed his umbrella to protect his scrambled noggin and ran out into the world without much of a plan. It was not long before he bumped into Henny Penny. Bunk! Ah! Didn't look very good, huh? "Where are you going in such a rush?" she squawked. "Oh my goodness, oh my gracious," Chicken Little panted. "The sky is falling, the sky is falling. We must run for our lives." "Oh my," said Henny Penny, and being witless herself, joined in without any further questions. And off they ran. They still did not have a plan. Within minutes, they ran into Lucky Ducky. Bong, quack! "Hey," he quacked, "why are you in such a hurry?" "Oh my goodness, oh my gracious," huffed Chicken Little. "The sky is falling and we are running for our lives." Henny Penny could not catch her breath, so she said nothing. Not wanting to be left out, Lucky Ducky joined in and off they ran. And still, no plan. Momentarily, they ran into Loosey Goosey. "Honestly, with names like these, is it any wonder?" Bonk, bonk! "Why don't you watch where you're going?" she honked. "Oh my goodness, oh my gracious," rasped the Chicken Little. "The sky is falling and we are running for our lives." "What a bother. I'd better come with you." "What's the plan?" asked the goose. "Oh, no time for a plan," they puffed. "The sky is falling," and off they ran. As it was growing dark, they ran into Turkey Lurkey. Bonk! "How dare you?" he gobbled. "Gobble, gobble!" "Oh my goodness, oh my gracious," croaked Chicken Little. "The sky is falling and we are running for our lives. No time to explain." And off they ran. Woof, quack, onk, beep, bonk. Soon the animals' little flock grew tired. They were not used to all this running, and they ran into Foxy Loxy. My, rumbled the fox. "Where are all these little birdies going at such a frantic pace?" "Oh my goodness, oh my gracious," gasped Chicken Little, who was now quite out of breath. "The sky is falling and we are running for our lives." "Oh my goodness indeed," said the fox. "We must find a place for you to rest. Step into this warm, dark cave where the sky cannot fall on you." Without another thought in their tired, feathered heads, "Oh my gracious," the flock went forward gratefully into the warm, dark cave. All right, guys, can you see what the cave is made out of? "Woo," said the hen. "It stinks in here." "And the floor is squishy and wet," quacked the duck. "Oh, go, my goodness," gobbled the turkey. "Oh, no," honked the goose. "Ah, ah, ah, shoo!" sneezed the fox. And they all ran away. So see that? They weren't paying attention because they thought the sky was falling, and the fox almost got to eat them. All right, everybody. That's our second story for today. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the two different tales, the tall tale and the folk tale, and that you have gotten your craft bag. It will be available for this week until the next program comes up. If you need it, you can call me for curbside, or you just can come to the children's desk to pick it up. And there is a Oriental Trader craft for there with the written directions out about making the bracelet. And there is another little craft having to do with Chicken Little. Okay, you guys take care, keep safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.